From 1963 and still we're going strong. Godfrey Stewart High, a true champion. For 50 years and now it's time for celebration. We are the champions of the world. Every boy and every girl. That is how we feel at Godfrey Stewart High. We will forever be the star, shining bright, that's who we are. We are kings and queens at Godfrey Stewart High. The road is never easy, we never quit the journey. It's only the best is good enough. With strong determination in the right direction, we can't afford to stop, we'll go on. We are the champions of the world, every boy and every girl. That is how we feel at Godfrey Stewart High. We will forever be the star, shining bright, that's who we are. We are kings and queens at Godfrey Stewart High. We thank all the teachers who helped us shape our lives. Thank you for the love and all the care. With knowledge for the future, make a bright tomorrow. Nothing's gonna ever hold us down. Now hear this. This is the history. Watch me. 1963, when the journey began. Down in the parish of Westmoreland. Senior school was the name from day one. Sablama Junior High School, that comes second. Change again to Sablama Comprehensive High School. Now Godfrey Stewart High School start rule. Excellence and quality, you know that we game. Let me tell you about some famous names. Big up Peter Touch, the reggae music icon. Secretary Stevens, are a musical dan. Michael Nicholson and the one Ryan. Tell the whole world that this is school you come from. Okay. Badlet center, been badlet politicians. Win them those well and never turn Tomlinson. 2005, the Costa Cup champion. 100 and just a real veteran. We are the champions of the world. Every boy and every girl. That is how we feel at Godfrey Stewart High. We will forever be the star, shining bright, that's who we are. We are kings and queens at Godfrey Stewart High. The road is never easy, we never quit the journey. It's only the best is good enough. With strong determination in the right direction, we can't afford to stop, we'll go on. Stewart High. We are the champions of the world, every boy and every girl. That is how we feel at Godfrey Stewart High. We will forever be the star, shining bright, that's who we are. We are kings and queens at Godfrey Stewart High. We are the champions of the world, every boy and every girl. That is how we feel at Godfrey Stewart High. We will forever be the star, shining bright.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our commencement service. It is a pleasure to be your moderator for this morning, and I hope and trust as we do our virtual commencement service that you will enjoy what we have put in store for you. At this time, I'm going to ask Mr. Lamar Wallace to do our opening prayer. Mr. Wallace.
Dear Heavenly Father, today we want to say thank you for life, and all that you have done for us through this pandemic. We are gathered here today to commence a new school year, and we ask that you will help us to adapt to the changing times and bless all that is in store for the school year. I pray that you will give us teachers the strength and wisdom to do the best we can as we embark on this new normal. Bless the students and their parents as they too try to adapt to the changes. Almighty God, we leave everything in your hands, that you will take full control. Help us to follow all the protocols in place and to be obedient to all that is instructed. We give you thanks in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wallace. Very inspiring prayer. At this time, I'm going to ask Ms. Sherelle Gooden-Stennett to welcome us.
In the words of Nelson Mandela, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant good morning to you all. My name is Ms. Sherelle Gooden-Stennett. It is my pleasure to extend a warm welcome to all teachers, students, family, and friends, especially our chairman, Dr. Radcliffe Robertson, our principal, Mrs. Emily Lawrence Ricketts, our keynote speaker, Pastor Jermaine Johnson, our education officer, Mrs. Patricia Mumbilelo, our Dean of Discipline, Ms. Barbara Dandy, Ms. Annette Sadler, our guidance counselor, and last but not least, our esteemed guests joining us online. We are gathered here today, virtually, to celebrate yet the start of a new academic year, 2020 to 2021. This is a very challenging time for each and every one of us in this pandemic as we embrace the new norms. As the school year progresses, we will have to work together as a team to have a successful school year. This is very fitting with our theme, Development of Teamwork Through Unity. Just remember, the greater the obstacle, the more glory in overcoming it. Again, I welcome you all to the Godfrey Stewart High School family as we strive for greatness and to uphold the traditions of our beloved school. Only the best is good enough. We are happy to have you here with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sherelle Gooden-Stennett. At this time, we're going to ask our Member of Parliament, Mr. George Wright, to bring us greetings, and Mr. Wright is the Member of Parliament for Central Westmoreland.
Good morning, members of the school board, principal, teachers, parents, students, and online viewers. I speak to you today in my capacity of your Member of Parliament for Westmoreland Central. Like you all, you are now embarking on a new roadway leading to CS, EC, and Cape. I am taking on this mantle of leadership of this constituency. All this is taking place at the most difficult time in the world history, when we are still fighting the invisible COVID-19. We are embarking on a period of change in lesson delivery at our school. Digitization is becoming more than a buzzword. This is a situation in which we find ourselves, and we must prepare for the new normal. What changes are you going to make as students? Are you now going to reduce time spent on social media and focus more on online learning? Is this period the end of study group or the beginning of a new type of study group? And what of your health? You have the responsibility to manage your health and stay safe. That, however, is not all. You must also lead from the front. I am truly proud of Godfrey Stewart High School. The entire Savlamar is proud of the school, as we are seeing the growth and development that is taking place. You now have a sixth form program, and who would have thought of this 10 years ago? Good things are happening at Godfrey Stewart High. I leave you with a short quote from Abigail Adams in writing to the US President in 1978. She said, "This is a time in which a genius would wish to live. I urge you to seize the opportunity." Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wright. And we will try and reinforce everything that you have said, because as our motto says, only the best is good enough. At this time, we will listen to Mrs. Patricia Mombilela, our Education Officer for Westmoreland.
Yes. Master of Ceremonies, Mrs. Veronica Samuels-Roden, Chairman of the Board of Governors, Mr. Rodcliffe Robertson, other members of the school board, Member of Parliament, Westmoreland Central, Mr. George Wright, guest speaker, Pastor Jermaine Johnson, Principal, Mrs. Emily Ricketts, Vice Principals, teachers, members of the academic and ancillary staff, students, good morning. It is always a pleasure sharing with the Godfrey Stewart High School family. On behalf of the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, I want to commend the board, principal, and staff for their commitment to education, and in particular for organizing this commencement service. I have taken keen note of your theme, development of teamwork through unity, which is quite apt at such a time as this, when we face a pandemic. Never before have we been called to be united so that we can support each other, and together we face what lies ahead. As we approach the new academic year, I encourage you all, especially our students, to embrace the new normal. You would have learned several coping strategies since the close down of schools in March. We will have to do things differently, but I encourage you to maximize all the opportunities presented to you. Students, as you navigate virtual learning or blended learning, I want to share a few tips with you. 1, be positive. Thriving through a change is tough, but doable with a positive attitude. A positive attitude about online learning is the best gift you can give yourself at this time. 2, get organized and stay organized. Creating an orderly learning space to do schoolwork will put you ahead of the game. Create your to-do list with items ranked in order of urgency. 3, establish a flexible routine. While online school and blended learning give you a more flexible schedule, having a routine will help keep you on track with your schoolwork. 4, set personal goals. To make great things happen in your life, it helps to set goals for yourself. 5, make the most of your resources. As an online or blended learning student, you have many helpful resources available. Optimize the use of your textbooks, online instructional tools, and trusted websites. 6, start on track. and stay on track. It's always better to be ahead than to be struggling at the last minute. Break down big projects into small, manageable parts and give each one a deadline. 7, learn to deal with setbacks. Everyone has them. Every person who succeeds has had to struggle to get there. When things do not go as planned, realize that this is a learning experience. Finally, don't give up. Reach out for support if things don't always go as well as you expect. It's normal to feel anxious, have setbacks, and from time to time struggle for motivation. But remember, even the very best students take advantage of the wider supports available to them. Your principal, vice principals, guidance counselors, dean of discipline, and teachers are willing and available to assist you if you have any challenges. Teachers, continue to give of your best as these students are depending on you. The Ministry of Education, Youth and Information stands ready to assist you as you engage the students. I urge all stakeholders to support the Godfrey Stewart High School in any way possible as they continue to mold the lives of our future movers and shakers of society. On behalf of the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, I wish for you a successful year. Keep safe, and may the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Mambilela. I truly enjoyed your speech, very inspirational. And I'm hoping and trusting that as a team, we will take your tips that you have given and put them in practice. Thank you very much, Madam. At this time, I'm going to ask our dear chairman, Mr. Rodcliffe Robertson, to address us. Mr. Robertson.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Moderator, Mrs. Samuels Roden, our Member of Parliament, Mr. George Wright, Education Officer, Mrs. Mambilela, members of the Board of Management, beloved Principal, Mrs. Lawrence Ricketts, our guest speaker, Pastor Jermaine Johnson, Vice Principals, staff, academic, auxiliary, administrative, all the staff, parents and students, other well-wishers. We are starting the school year with a church service, and it's quite fitting that we start with a church service, especially at this time. And as I thought about what to speak to you about this morning, I'm reminded of King David when he was dying, and he spoke to his son Solomon, and he said to Solomon, "Be a man. Be a man. Study the word of the Lord. Live by the principles and ordinances of the Lord." I want to start this morning by encouraging every student here to be a man or a woman. Stand up, firm, strong. You can do so, even in a pandemic. Stand firm. And this goes for our students, our new students, and our teachers and our new teachers, our new administrative staff, everybody. To be a man, be a woman. and stand up firm. I want to welcome the new students to Godfrey Stewart High School. I want to welcome you not just as the chairman of the board of management, but I want to welcome you as someone who stood in your position in September 1975 at that very same school. My first classroom, I will never forget. The first class upstairs in 7A, my teacher was Miss Daly. Never forget it. So I want to welcome you to my school, my high school. Not just as the chairman, but as a past student, a proud past student of the school. I want to encourage you this morning that as you embark on the new school year, that confidence will be your foundation. That grace will be your guide in everything that you do. That hope, even in this pandemic, will be your compass through a bright future here at Godfrey Stewart High School. That you will face each day with positivity and be positive about everything in life. Don't let anybody tell you that this pandemic is doom and gloom and everything is coming to an end. When time is coming to an end, the scripture will be fulfilled and it will happen. But be positive about life. Be positive about what you do. I want you to be committed to 4 things. 4 things that will take you through the theme of this year. 4 things that will take you through accomplishing what we have the theme as. And the first one is to be humble. Humble yourself. Examine your biases and your influences. Examine your pressures. Know your strengths and your weaknesses. And never ever believe that you are better than anybody else in the room. No, you're not. No, you're not. So humble yourself. Humility is from God. Jesus Christ himself came and he humbled himself here on earth. Humble yourself. The second one is to love. Follow biblical call to love your neighbor. The Bible said, let all that you do be done in love. Loving yourself, loving your teachers, loving your parents, loving your classmates. Just live loving. I want to tell you something. When you love, you'll be happy. And I'm telling you these things because these are the things I practice. That's why at my very old age, I can be happy. I am happy because I love and I humble myself. The third one, and I heard Mrs. Mombelela saying it to you, and I'm going to repeat and reiterate and drive it home forcefully. Persistence. Mentally approach everything that you're going to do with persistence. They're going to teach you in science that Graham Bell invented the telephone. And some of you would have learned that already, that Graham Bell invented the telephone. But if you study history carefully, you'll find out that Graham Bell didn't know anything about telephone. The man who invented the telephone, he was not persistent. He gave up because he wouldn't get a dial tone. And Graham Bell came several years after and took a screwdriver and made a turn. Dial tone. And he's gone down in history as this great man who invented the telephone. Be persistent with what you're doing. Don't let any pressure stop you. Focus. Go after your goals. Set your standards. Set your goals. And go after them, no matter what. There are many things that came in my way over the years. I was told at an early age that you graduate from Savlamar Secondary School, now Godfrey Stewart High, so you won't come out to anything too bright, you won't have too much of a bright future, and you know, all those things they told me, but I was persistent. And you know when it drove home to me that I must continue and be focused? When I went to Teachers College in 1982, I remember sitting in the class. And when I looked, I saw people around me that went to that high school, the girl behind me went to that high school, the boy in front of me went to that high school, the one beside me went to that high school. I said, oh, I am right at home. And I was persistent in getting to where I want to go. And lastly, wisdom. Be wise. But wisdom is just in the books. Read the books, study the books, but learn to take what is in the book and apply them to solving everyday problems. And that's when you get wise. Solomon, after he was admonished by his father, he asked God for wisdom and understanding. God gave him wisdom, understanding, and riches. Huh? But we saw where the first time he exercised that wisdom was something practical that he did. Show your wisdom in what you do, both in school and outside of school, so that when you walk the streets, you walk proud to be a student of Godfrey Stewart High. I wear this pin very, very proudly. I'm proud of it. My Godfrey Stewart High School pin. I'm very proud because anywhere I go, I exercise the wisdom that I got from my teachers, the wisdom that I got from the books. I exercise it, I show it. And that competence gives me confidence. Confidence to perform the jobs that I perform and the things that I do. Students, parents, teachers, as we embark on this new school year, I wish you all the best. I wish you the peace of God. And I will have an opportunity to speak to you again very soon on other matters. Like the Member of Parliament said, the word is out. Godfrey Stewart High is just going. Godfrey Stewart High. We're not in any competition with any other school. No, we are not. We are just going our way, up, up, up. We ain't competing because our mandate is to ensure of the education and development of the people of Western Jamaica. God bless you and all the best for the new year. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Robertson. And at this time, just to reinforce what you have said, I'd just like to remind us of what the meaning of the crest, the icons on the crest means. So we have the book, we have the pen, we have the tools and the certificate, and these represents elements of mission of Godfrey Stewart. And I'm very proud to say today, my school. So as we have listened to Mr. Robertson, we just want to reinforce, put in some additional reinforcement to what he has said. And I'd just like for us to breathe a breath where Philippians 4 and verse 13, and it says, I can do all things through Christ who strengtheneth me. But I'd want to further reemphasize it to say, we at Godfrey Stewart can do all things through Christ who strengtheneth us. At this time, I'm going to ask my dear principal, Mrs. Emily Lawrence Ricketts, to speak to us. Mrs. Ricketts?
Happy Thursday, school family. We are indeed grateful to God that we are alive and well and in our right minds as we commence our academic year 2020-2021 under the theme, Living the Dream Through Teamwork, Reinventing Tomorrow's Success as a school with one vision. As a school, we have been through a lot together, and this pandemic will not determine that we stop any of our annual activities. We will just find more creative ways to reach each other and to work on coming together to bolster and keep our school spirit alive. Board of Management, our beloved past students, colleagues, parents and guardians, well-wishers of Godfrey Stewart High, we rise to this occasion with perseverance and resilience. These have been and will continue to be our watchword for this academic year. We will purpose in our minds and hearts to emerge stronger after COVID-19. Across the globe, COVID-19 has impacted negatively more than 1 billion students' lives. In Jamaica last year this time, no one could have told us that this was imminent. Our school family has not seen each other in months, but let me assure you, school family, that whatever we are experiencing in this pandemic is only temporary. It is temporary. We strive to navigate this new normal with perseverance and resilience. We will continue our education and we will follow our dreams. We are still operating normal school activities. Students, our online classes will be just as disciplined and contained as we would have our site classes. For students without access, we will do whatever it takes to have you learn and produce all that is required for as long as we possibly can. No child will be left behind. Colleagues, we have done this already, and we will continue to practice our core values of accountability, commitment, and excellence. To be creative, to be supportive and patient with our children as we learn together in these unprecedented times. We know that overcoming difficulties build character, and so we will choose to learn and grow. We will not fear the future. Instead, we will resolutely decide to think more about how blessed we are with this life, with the ability to learn more new skills at a faster rate, and the opportunity to reach and touch the lives of others. We are now given the responsibility to act and work and be different when all this is said and done. I know our testimonies of overcoming when we see each other physically will have even greater meaning. In closing, let us remember the words of our school pledge. When I am surrounded with pessimism, I will choose optimism. When I am faced with fear, I will choose love. When I experience setback, I will be resilient. We look forward to an exceptional academic year.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Lawrence Ricketts. And I just want to say, your speech has been very inspirational, especially to us as new teachers as we join the team at Godfrey. But we could not go through the service and not have some reinforcement from our students. So at this time, let me just reinforce our topic. And it says development of teamwork through unity. Our student rep, Tajira Mitchell, will be saying her piece on behalf of the students. Tajira?
According to the words of Andrew Fint, there is no elevator to success. You have to take the stairs. Distinguished guests, chairman, principal, administrative staff, auxiliary staff, and students, good morning. We all know the country is currently battling the COVID pandemic. Many of us have grown to love being out of school and at home, rubbing the refrigerators, doing fun stuff, and driving our parents crazy. Unfortunately, all fun things must come to an end. But my peers, I implore you, do not see the reopening of school as a burden, but as the initiation of a new adventure for teachers, parents, guardians, and most of all, ourselves. With this in mind, I have some tips I would like to share with you. When using your phone, check for online work that might have been sent by your teachers. Follow safety guidelines for COVID-19 such as washing your hands, wearing a mask, sanitizing yourself, and keeping a 6 feet distance while on the road. Try to be proactive and learn about new online platforms to reinforce your personal and professional pursuits. Prepare for your upcoming exams by reading extensively, practicing past papers, and studying in groups. Maintain regular contact with your teachers. Keep in mind that COVID will be with us for at least another year, and the world will continue to spin. Welcome to the new school year. Share a smile with someone today and be confident that whatever COVID throws at us, at Godfrey Stewart High School, we are a family and we are dedicated to the welfare of each other while living by our motto, only the best is good enough. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much, Tajira. I enjoyed your speech. We will be working together. And as new teachers, as I said before, we will ensure that the teamwork is the dream work. Let me just reinforce a few things. Do we know the meaning of the color of our school uniform? Do we know that the white symbolizes purity and abundance of desired qualities? Do we know that the beige is a soft, neutral color that represents quietness, pleasantness, peacefulness and elegance? And did we know that the burgundy, the color symbolizes success and prosperity? And finally, the khaki, durability, steadfastness, dependability, and robustness. Now that we know the meaning of the color of our uniform, we will now listen to a poem by one of our new teachers, Mrs. Keyon Nunes Porter. Mrs. Porter?
A pleasant morning to you all. It was the night before distance learning, when all through the town, everyone was thinking, how this all go down? Students, parents, and teachers all wonder, how am I gonna make this work? What if I plunder? Passwords, logins, do I have it already? Easy now, take a breath. Remember to steady. There will be blips. There will be unknowns. But we are in this together. You are not alone. One day at a time. This is not a race. A new journey for all. So please give grace. Grace to yourself and grace to each other. We will get through this one way or another. Students want to learn and teachers want to teach. Families need to work so it can be reached. But patience and respect will get us through this strange experience that is so new. I'll say it again, and I'll say it many more times. We will work this out. Things will be just fine. Here we go, folks. All aboard. This could take a while. Just remember, be kind, and remember to smile.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Porter. Love the smile. And I know we will have challenges, but as you said, we should just smile. At this time, we will have a video clip highlighting the new norm. Okay, this seems as if our clip is not ready. Okay, we'll have our clip right now. Unfortunately, our clip is not ready, so we'll take Ms. Sadler, our guidance counselor.
Students, welcome to the start of another academic year. As we are all challenged during this global pandemic, it is very important to acknowledge that God is still in control, and so we are not alone. I don't think any words can make up for missing out on your education since March. However, the Guidance and Counseling Unit has been doing something about that, and we will continue to do so. We will continue to make ourselves available to listen when you want to share and to get angry if you need to. Remember, this situation is unprecedented. Adults and your peers don't have all the right words. Your teachers wish they could have more answers for you, but it is difficult for them too. This is just another chapter of our lives. Students, you must be brave and take time with yourselves and do your best as well as learn to navigate these new systems and tools that we will be using more and more, called new normal. Before I go, here are a few things you need to remember. You are capable. Your mindset matters more than anything you'll do, and don't know when that will be good or bad. You are the focus of the class, a very important human being. You will be expected to engage in the learning activities during class time. You will be an active learner. Your teachers will operate in the capacity of facilitators. They will introduce the learning activities, but you will be responsible for the actual learning. Struggling is a part of learning. If it is simple or simply done, you are probably not learning anything. Everything you do, good or bad, affects everyone in the room. That means everything you do matters because you matter. You are important as a learner and a human being in your class. Students, I implore you to be comforted by these words crafted perfectly by Maya Angelou. You may encounter many defeats, but you must not be defeated. In fact, it may be necessary to encounter the defeats so you can know who you are, what you can rise from, how you can still come out of it. God bless you. Be safe. Looking forward to seeing you in our virtual environment.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Sadler. Very inspirational speech. But to add to more inspiration, we know that discipline is important in everything we do. So at this time, we're going to have our Dean of Discipline, Miss Barbara Dandy.
Master of Ceremonies, Mrs. Veronica Samuels-Roden, our Principal, Mrs. Emily Lawrence Ricketts, Vice Principal, Mrs. Stacy Ann Otti Clark, our Board Chairman, Mr. Rodcliffe Robertson, Member of Parliament for Central Westmoreland, Mr. George Wright, teachers, parents, students of the Godfrey Stewart High School family, a pleasant afternoon to you all. Since March 10, 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic has brought with it changes to the Jamaican arena. It is worldwide, but we have to embrace the changes that have come with it. As a school, we now embark on remote learning. It requires of us much dedication. We're happy that as a family that we have a culture of teamwork. And so as we start our new school year, we pledge to work together as a team, working for the good of all. We are also honored to have on board with us the Parent Teachers Association, or Past Student Association, and other stakeholders within the community who will help us to navigate this new normal. I want to implore especially our new teachers and the students to be positive, to feel at home as you start the journey with us here at the Godfrey Stewart High School. As author Ash has penned it, I say to you, start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. Remembering that education is the key to success. And as educators, we are still relevant. I want us also to remember that he who opens a school door closes a prison. We have a mammoth task to do, but I am convinced that with the team spirit that we have here, we will navigate this new norm, and this school year will be our very best year. May God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Ms. Dandy. At this time, we're going to have our PTA president. As Ms. Dandy said, the PTA has been very supportive to our school. So at this time, Mr. Neville Wilson, the PTA president, will address us.
Madam Chairman, Member of Parliament, George Wright, Education Officer, Mrs. Leila, Chairman of the Board of Governors, Mr. Rodcliffe Robertson, Madam Principal, Mrs. Emily Lawrence Ricketts, Past Student Chairman, Mr. Anthony Stolz, other board members, past student here and all over the world, teachers, all other members of staff, parents and well-wishers all over the world, students, good morning. At Godfrey Stewart High, Christ is the center of all that we do. And this is how we live and work. By faith, Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to the place where he would receive as an inheritance. And he went out not knowing where he was going, according to Hebrews 12. And as was promised, God made him father of many nations. Parents, this pandemic has brought opportunities and oppositions. I believe a great and effective door has been opened to us to be creative and to become a much stronger team player. Teamwork is what will take us through these uncertain times. Parents, all we need to do is to trust God, believe in our teachers, support our students. These three, I'm sure, will bring success for all of us. Our students, we encourage you to stick to the task. There might be challenges, there are going to be challenges, but if we focus on the goal ahead, we will be successful. Stay safe, be safe, and God bless you all. Amen.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wilson. May I, on behalf of the new teachers, say that as in the words of our school pledge, that today and every day, we dedicate ourselves to make a positive difference in our school, our community, and our country, and in Westmoreland especially. At this time, we're going to ask Shamar Francis to introduce our keynote speaker.
Ladies and gentlemen, to all our viewers online, a pleasant afternoon. My name is Shamar Francis, and I am charged this morning to introduce to you the person who has been given the task of commencement service. Jermaine Johnson is an internationally renowned keynote motivational speaker and corporate host. He hails from the beautiful parish of Portland and is a musician, teacher of over a decade, composer, songwriter, to name a few of his interests. He is a graduate of the Titchfield High School and a proud graduate of the Northern Caribbean University, NCU, where he graduated with honors in 2013 as class valedictorian magna cum laude. He is a well-sought-after speaker, presenting to scores of schools, government, and corporate entities annually, who is the founder and chief exhortation officer of Extraordinary Motivational Services, EMS, through which he carries his brand Johnson Motivates. Throughout his few decades, he has worn many hats, such as former director of the Mandeville Symphony Youth Orchestra, former managing director of the Johnson's School of Music Mandeville, and the Islanders Music Academy, Ocho Rios, the composer of the Governor General's I Believe Initiative theme song, a former radio personality of NCUFM, a former National Youth Council of Jamaica who represented Jamaica at the international level at the Commonwealth Youth Parliament in Queensland, Australia, a former youth ambassador for the National Youth Service of Jamaica, just to name a few. His speaking abilities have awarded him the national title for Jamaica in the Toastmasters International Table Topics Competition 2018 and first runner-up in the International Speech Competition 2019. He currently serves as the senior pastor of the Brownstown District of Seventh-day Adventist Churches and the director of the Departments of Communication, Education, and Music in the North Jamaica Conference of Seventh-day Adventist Churches located in St. Anne. He is a friendly and inspiring individual who knows how to interact with both young and old. He is a very warm persona and a strong passion for the gospel ministry and has been used by the Lord to inspire and transform thousands of lives each year. Pastor JJ, as some affectionately call him, is a man of several abilities, yet humble enough to use them all to the service of God and humanity. Ladies and gentlemen, as you sit and listen and be captivated, may you be inspired to capture our theme, development of unity through teamwork.
Thank you very much, Mr. Francis.
At this time, we're going to have the new teachers doing an item.
On the plains of Westmoreland, set in the heart of the town, stand the school for learning for students all around. This is our school, our noble Godfrey Stewart High. We stand firm hearts together, dedicated to the welfare of each other. Godfrey Stewart, a tower of strength, we stand proud and tall. Success, the cry of one and all, our students by God are sent. This is our school, our noble Godfrey Stewart High. We stand firm hearts together, dedicated to the welfare of each other. We salute Godfrey Stewart High, with hearts and minds we'll strive, maintaining our school's motto, may the best is to be now. This is our school, our noble Godfrey Stewart High. We stand firm hearts together, dedicated to the welfare of each other. dedicated to the welfare of each other.
We are the champions of the world, every boy and every girl. Godfrey Stewart high. We will forever be that star, shining bright, that's who we are. Godfrey Stewart high.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, Mr. Francis. And thank you for that nice little preliminary video before I came on just now. And thank you so much, new staff, for your wonderful rendition. The protocol is already set. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, a pleasant morning to you. I'm very happy and I'm very honored to join the Godfrey Stewart High School family this morning as you celebrate this year commencement service, as you begin a new school year and are ready to step out in style and to accomplish great things regardless of the current circumstances. Your name rings all across Jamaica and the rest of the world, and I'm happy to know the pride you take in that which you do. I've listened to the various presenters, and I know that Godfrey Stewart High is going to continue to be great, no matter what COVID-19 is doing or what other challenges that you may face as you go through this school year. So I greet you well, and once again, it's my pleasure to join with you. As a public speaker, one of the things I've learned is that a great presentation is like a mini skirt. It must be long enough to cover the subject and short enough to create excitement. So I'll definitely be working with that principle as I get into the presentation that God has laid on my heart to share with you today. So those who are joining in via Zoom, those on YouTube or elsewhere, welcome, and let's get right into the meat of the presentation. So I'm going to be sharing my screen with you at this time, and you can follow along. Now, the year 2020 has been a challenging one. You know, we started off hoping for plenty in 2020, but instead some of us have gotten empty. But the fact that almost 7 months have passed since the pandemic broke out in Jamaica and we are still here, it goes to show Godfrey Stewart that under God, coronavirus has nothing over us, which is why I don't want us to become frustrated, because we've been facing challenges all of our lives. They might have been different than the challenges we are faced with now, but at the end of the day, just as how you overcame in the past, students, you can overcome today. Just as how you overcame in the past, teachers and other workers, you can do it today. Parents, you can do it today. But you must unite together and push forward, recognizing the power and the ability that God has laid upon you and within you for you to do so. Which is why I want to talk to you today as I look at your theme, development of teamwork through unity. Think. That is what I want to talk to you about today. Think. Come on, touch yourselves and say, think. Yes, I can hear it in my mind. Think. Let's go to the meat of the matter. Many people believe that their work, their schooling is going to be affected because of the pandemic, and they are worried about the ambivalence that they feel. Some persons have lost their jobs. Parents have to be spending more time with their children at home, assisting them with doing the schoolwork. Some students have the challenge of not having proper and sustainable internet access, and some persons don't have Wi-Fi even though they have data access. Some persons have to be struggling to learn the various learning management systems, Zoom in the room and Google Meet and Microsoft Teams, Schoology without apology. It's a whole lot that's going on right now. But at the end of the day, you can still triumph. You can still achieve excellence if you think, and you must unite while you're at same hot water that softens the potato also hardens the egg. So it's not just about the circumstance in which you found yourself in, but how you respond to those circumstances. So the same hot water that softens eggs softens potatoes, hardens eggs. So your response is crucial. You can either allow the situation to tear you down or use it as a building block to take you to the next level. Put another way, it's not just about the state of your reality, but also the state of your mentality. Can we say together, wherever you are tuning in from, let's repeat this one together. It's not just about the state of your reality, but also the state of your mentality. How you respond to your challenges can either build you up or push you down. And we are all about building up, because at Godfrey Stewart High, only the best is what? Good enough. And I love it because that was my all-age school motto. And once I heard it earlier on, I say, yes, here comes the great school. So remember, your response to what you face around you will determine your fate in the very end. And it doesn't matter what challenges you might be faced with right now, you can be thankful because there's somebody who is experiencing worse and would love to be in your position. For example, a man was sick and in bed, and he couldn't get out of bed without assistance because he was bedridden. And he saw a man pass by in a wheelchair and thought to himself, wow, he's so blessed. I wish I could at least move around in a wheelchair. The man in the wheelchair, while the man in the bed, thought he was blessed, saw a man walked by and said, I wish I could still walk. Just look at him. He's so blessed. The man who was walking saw a cyclist and said, I wish I had a bicycle. It would be much easier to move around town. He is so blessed. The man on the bicycle saw a car and said, I wish I had a car like he does, because it would be much easier for me to move about. I would not need to dodge whenever it rains, and whenever it gets really hot, I would just turn on my air condition. The driver saw a chopper, a helicopter, and thought to himself, I wish I had a chopper. I would not need to worry about the traffic and the time it takes to get around. It would be much easier to fly across Jamaica. And finally, the man in the chopper saw an airplane and said to himself, I wish I had my own private jet so that I could travel the entire world in style. But while each was complaining, there was another wishing that he was in that person's position. It doesn't matter what you're going through, you need to embrace that there are things you can be thankful about, because there are things that you never once had that you worried about, and God has supplied those needs. And just as how he has done it in the times past, he can do it today. And just as how he has given you victory in times past, he can do it today. So be thankful about where you are at on your way to where you are going. Did you get that, ladies and gentlemen, students, boys and girls all? Be thankful about where you are at on the journey to where you're going, because your current situation is not your final destination unless you stop. And there's no stopping at Godfrey Stewart High, because you're on a journey to excellence. Come on now, I'm getting there. In order for you to be united and for you to deal with the challenges that you continue to aspire to greatness, you need to keep your mindset positive, because the quality of your thoughts affects the quality of your life. If you don't feel like it, then perhaps you won't deal like it. And it's circular. Your actions affect your thoughts, but more so your thoughts affect your actions. And as a result of that, you're becoming what you're thinking. No wonder one person says, a negative mind will never give you a positive life. Can we say it together? A negative mind will never give you a positive life. That's rhetorical. And how do young people respond to these things? Like, duh, it goes without the saying. So I'm going to say it one more time. And wherever you're tuning in from, I want you to say at the end, like, duh, let's go. A negative mind will never give you a positive life. No, I'm not hearing it in my head. You got to say it like you believe it. A negative mind will never give you a what? A positive life. No wonder the Bible tells us, Mr. Chairman, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Proverbs 23 and verse 7. What you profess will manifest. So to think and to speak the things into being that you're hoping will come about in your reality. You are becoming what you're thinking. So Godfrey Stewart High School, students and staff and parents, as you move forward into the new school year, think well, which takes me to my thesis. What's the theme? Take things one day at a time. H, have faith in God. I, on the matter of unity, indicate if you need help. N, nullify negative thoughts. And K, know that you, yes, I'm talking about you, yes, you, possess overcoming power. Take things one day at a time, have faith in God, indicate if you need help, nullify negative thoughts, and know that you possess overcoming power. Let me tell you something on the first point. If God takes you to it, he will take you through it. So when you cannot go through it, wait through it. Your change will come in due season. Many people are all caught up about what is going to happen when October 5 comes and school reopens online and they have to deal with all the challenges that brings along. Staff members, the teachers all across Jamaica, many of them are stressed out because it's much more difficult for them to deliver their jobs online than when they are actually in the physical classroom. Some people believe teachers are on a vacation because they're actually working from home most of the times, but no, it's much more difficult for the deliverables and for the receivables, passing on the information, getting the work from the student and passing it back on to them. But let me tell you, if you cannot go through it, wait through it. No need in battering yourselves about things over which you have no control. Know that if God takes you to it, he will take you through it. And until he brings you through it, wait through it. Exercise patience. Do your very best and leave the rest into his hands. Take things one day at a time. And let me tell you this, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, a positive life does not take a lifetime to occur. It happens rather by making each day in and of itself positive, and ultimately the days add up. So get up each day and say, hey self, we're going to have a great day today. Get up and say, hey, you belong to Godfrey Stewart High and we are going to take it to the next level. You've got to speak that motivation into yourself so that you can stay motivated and not worried about what's going to happen next. God has already seen the future and he has secured it. Put your hands into his and take things one day at a time, which brings me to point number 2. Have faith in God. Madam Principal, one of the things I have learned over the years is that whenever God causes you to be stretched out, it's because your blessing is already sketched out. I thought somebody would say amen. I'm not hearing it in my head. I say when God causes you to be stretched out, it's because your blessing is already sketched out. When Joseph, for example, was in a serious crisis, when his brethren threw him into a pit, he was stretched out. When they sold him as a slave to Egyptian tradesmen, he was stretched out. When Potiphar's wife couldn't get a piece of the holy action and she framed him and he went to prison, he was stretched out. But through it all, he maintained his faith. God then moved him from the pit to the pulpit. And when he was prime minister of Egypt, second only to the Pharaoh, and his brethren came to be bailed out because of the famine happening in their homeland, when they discovered that it was their brother Joseph, they were worried for their lives. They thought Joseph was going to take revenge against them. But Joseph said to them, no, no, no. You meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. I could tell you about Job and about Daniel in the lion's den and about the 3 Hebrew boys. Whenever God causes you to be stretched out, it's because your blessing is already sketched out. Staff members, going on because your blessing online learning have been stretching you out, but keep on pressing on. Your blessing is already sketched out. Somebody say it's sketched out. Hey, moving on, moving on. We need to learn to let go and to let God. Let us not become ambivalent and worried about things over which we have no control, but learn to trust in his providence. The story is told, for example, of a man who was in a snowstorm and it got so bad he couldn't see, so he fell over a cliff and got hung by a branch. While he was there, he cried out to God and said, God, please help me. God said, son, do you trust me? He said, yes, of course I do. God said, great. let go. He said, are you crazy? Don't you see I'm clinging to dear life? God, please help me. And every time God instructed him to let go, he kept on holding on. Ultimately, he froze to death. And when the storm passed and the rescue team found him, he was approximately 2 feet from the ground. Oh my Lord. Had he let go, you can do the rest of the math. Don't allow the negativity and all of those type of feelings to dominate you. Keep it positive. Keep together, trusting God, because he has a bigger plan for you than the challenges you currently face. So what is the key? Take things one day at a time. When you cannot go through it, wait through it, because when God takes you to it, he can take you through it. H, have faith in God. When God causes you to be stretched out, it's because your blessing is already sketched out. I indicate if you need help. If you are going to be true champions continually, if you are going to attain greatness, even amidst the pandemic and the other challenges you face, you've got to unite and know that you must fulfill one and the self-same purpose of excellence. One of my favorite African proverbs explains it beautifully. It says, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. Can we say that, everybody? If you want to go fast, go alone. Nobody to bother with, but if you fall into difficulties, nobody will be there to bother with you either. But if you want to go far, go together. Put another way, the wise man tells us in Ecclesiastes, that Solomon, that two are better than one, because if the one falls down, the other will help him up. But woe to him who is alone when he falls. Hello, single people in the house. So don't be afraid to bank on the support of your staff members, your colleagues. Don't be afraid to bank on the support of your stakeholders, on the support students of your parents and your teachers, your guidance counselors, teachers, your administrators, your principal, your VPs. Reach out to all the support system that God has given you. And I know sometimes we find it difficult to work along with others, but if you think others are difficult, check yourself. Hello, we need to learn the power of teamwork, because it still makes the dream work. Because TEAM, together, everyone achieves more. Let me explain the beauty of unity in fulfilling one's purpose with this analogy. A man's phone rang, and when he reached for his glasses in order to reach out to find the phone, guess what? The nose pushed them off and said, no, 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 no. I used to be a very beautiful nose, but you see these ugly blotches, the eyeglasses have caused them. I'm looking out for myself now. If the eyes need glasses, let the eyes hold them. The man kept on pushing on the glasses, but the nose kept on pushing them off. So ultimately, he decided to fumble for the phone, and when he fumbled, he stumbled and fell and broke his nose. And as the nose cried out in excruciating pain, the eyes sympathetically glanced down at the nose and said, "We're sorry, nose. We were always looking out for your best interest, but we never had our glasses today." We need each other. We need to be looking out for each other. And iron sharpens iron. So sometimes you are up like 7. Be the motivator for those who are discouraged. Other times you are discouraged. Thank God for those who are up like 7 to encourage you, because together everyone achieves more. If you want to go fast, go alone, but that will not help you. If you want to go far, go together. So we are going together, Godfrey Stewart High, as we go into a new school year. So embrace the power of unity to bring you to the success that you want to accomplish. I'm getting there. Learn to call for help when you need it. Indicate. Don't be afraid. Sometimes we go to bed on top of the world and we wake up the following morning with the world on top of us. So we all have our moods and our challenges and our difficulties, but through it all, when we learn to trust in God and we learn to depend on each other, it doesn't matter what we face, we shall displace until we are in the right place. The story is told of a man who said to his son, let's call him John. John, I want you to go outside and roll away that big boulder to the back of the building. John was only 9 years old, and he felt so proud that his father believed in him. So he went outside and he found all the vigor and vitality he could locate in his little 9-year-old body. But every time John pushed on the rock, it rolled right back into place. His dad stood there in the doorway with folded arms and shouted, "John, you can do it, sonny boy, but you've got to push with all of your might." But every time he pushed, pushed forward. It barely moved the rock before it rolled back into place. John then threw his arms into the air, crying in frustration, "Dad, don't you see I cannot do it?" His father then went out there and said, "John, let's do this together." And seamlessly, they rolled away the big boulder to the back of the house. His father then sat him down and patted him on the back. "Come on, pat yourselves on the back. You haven't touched yourselves in a while." And said, "Sonny boy, when I told you to push away the rock, I knew it was impossible for you to do, but I wanted to teach you an important lesson in life. And that is, you do not always have the power to do that which you need to do in life. You do not always have the strength to deal with the obstacles you face, and therefore you should not be afraid to indicate when you need help. Unite with the people around you and gather your support system when it is necessary." And the reason why I stood there was for you to say from the first instance when you recognized your inability to roll away the stone, "Hey Dad, come over here with all that brawn and muscle and let's push away this stone together." Do you think you are a figurine? Don't be afraid to push with your family, students. Push with your teachers. Teachers, push with your colleagues. Push with your friends. Push with your administrators, the Ministry of Education. Push together. Unity will take you there. Come on, we're getting there. We're getting there. What is the T? Take things one day at a time. If God takes you to it, he can take you through it. H, have faith in God. You need to know that whenever he causes you to be stretched out, your blessing is already sketched out. I, indicate if you need help. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. That's unity. And nullify negative thoughts. You need to understand that you'll never operate above the quality of your thoughts. So keep them positive. Avoid the proclivity of negativity that stifles your positivity and productivity. You never got it. Come on now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of the great Godfrey Stewart. Let's say together, I said you need to avoid the proclivity of negativity that stifles your positivity and productivity. Touch yourselves and say, "I'm positive." I can't hear you in my head. Touch yourself and say, "I am positive." Let's shout it one more time wherever you are. I am positive. You need to keep positive thoughts so that your mind can remain clear for you to always be able to find the solution necessary to go through the difficulties you face in life. And when you cannot change the circumstances around you, remember, change the way in which you do what? Respond to them. What a minister. I'm down to my 5th point. So what is the T? Take things one day at a time. You got that right. Whenever you cannot go through it, wait through it, because when God brings you to it, he will bring you through it. What is the H? Have faith in God. Whenever he causes you to be stretched out, your blessing is already sketched out. What is the I? Indicate if you need help. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And finally, N, you must what? Nullify negative thoughts and what? Actions. You need to make sure that you keep that mindset of positivity that will keep you going forward no matter what. And finally, know that you possess overcoming power. What is the K? Know that you possess overcoming power. The Bible tells us in 2 Timothy 1 and verse 7, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind." So don't you be fearful about what is ahead. The only thing you ought to fear is what? Fear. For God has not given you a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. So students and staff and staff and parents and stakeholders, don't be fearful regardless of the pandemic and other challenges. Embrace the power that God has placed in you. Activate it and unleash it and move forward with love and of a sound mind. And now let me talk to my students very quickly as I wrap it up. As you know that you have overcoming power, you need to go forth and accomplish your best. And I want to tell you quickly, students, about 3 categories of people in the world. You have the shouters, the doubters, and the abouters. Let me tell you about them very quickly. The shouters make a lot of noise. They tell you what it is they want to accomplish in life, what type of nice house and car and spouse and these things they want. But when it's time for them to put in the hard work to make sure they get a proper education to position them for a proper occupation, which will in turn brings them proper bring you proper remuneration, they are MIA, missing in action. They say that it's too hard, but if you think schoolwork hard, try hard life. Work hard towards what you need. Don't only make noise and be a shouter, but put in the action that's necessary for you to accomplish the goal. The doubters, on the other hand, they have great potential for success, but they keep on limiting themselves because they fail to believe in themselves. They allow circumstances and people to tell them how much they can or cannot accomplish. But let me tell you something, sometimes the biggest obstacle is ourselves. You need to get out of your way. Do not be a doubter. The Bible says God has not given you a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. So go forth into the new school year and do not doubt yourself. Believe in you. Touch yourself and say, I believe in me. Come on, yourself doesn't believe that. Say it a little more confidently. I believe in me. So don't be a shouter, making a lot of noise, but not putting in the hard work. Don't be a doubter. Believe in yourself, for the only fear is fear. And finally, you must be a true abouter. Like the bees, you've got to work hard for what you want in life. You've got to develop the honeycomb in order for you to get to the honey and make the money. If you want to be great in life, you've got to sow the seeds of success right now. So whereas you must think, as I explained earlier on, you need to put in your part by making sure you do the hard work and commit yourself to the goals of excellence. Don't stop Godfrey High until you get to the top, because in the future, you don't want to be sponging on people, boys and girls. You want to have your own things. And in order for you to have things, unless you plan to kill and steal, which you won't do, you've got to have a good paying job. Minimum wage is $28,000 per month. That is a little bit of money. And people see until they say, if you shut your mouth with a little bit of money, you want a proper occupation, which is why you need a proper education. So when you go through high school, make sure you keep it focused, because if you don't get the subjects, you won't get into college, no degree, no qualifications, no job, no money, no honey, all the sweet things that you want, and no honey, your life is going to be truly difficult. Don't smile because it isn't funny. You need to be a trendsetter and not a trend getter. When you step out in the future to return to Godfrey Stewart High to visit, you want to come in fine style. You don't want to come in a taxi. You want to come over in a Range Rover. Come on now, boys. You know what I'm talking about. In a nice 3-piece suit and complimentary tie and pocket piece and all these things. And when the ladies return to maybe give a keynote address for a program like this in person, you don't want to come and look pop down like the granny. Come on, young ladies, you know what I'm talking about. You want to step over in your nice Mercedes-Benz on the ends in front of your family and friends, in your nice shade of black Louis Vuitton pencil dress, contrasted by your 6-inch future pink stilettos, complemented by your Alda bag or your Chanel clutch. And you know, so you can't look good and not smell good. What kind of couscous? That a granny something. I sent by Issey Miyake, Perry Ellis, 360 degree, Kim Kardashian, and all this smell good thing. Come on, you know what I'm talking about. And guess what? Ladies are never through dressing up until they attend their head. And when they don't have good hair, they want to be able to purchase HBO hair belonging to others. Inches, yes. And they don't want any cheap inches in the Remy Yaki and Cadicolan and Premium Yaki, Peruvian and Brazilian and Malaysian. And you're hot like fire. And guess what? You can have it all, boys and girls of Godfrey Stewart High. You can live your dream life. You can be on Faye Ellington's profile being celebrated, but you've got to put in the hard work now. You've got to be a true abouter. Don't find excuses. Make a way. Do the assignments. Study for your tests. Prepare for your examinations. Yes, things can be challenging, especially now in the pandemic. But remember, take things one day at a time. Have faith in God. Indicate if you need help. Nullify negative thoughts and actions. Know that you possess overcoming power. And don't you be a shouter. Don't you be a doubter. Be a true abouter. And as you go forth, staff members, to transform these young minds, be true abouters. Because if God takes you to it, He can take you through it. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, Mr. Pastor Johnson. I am still in awe. I'm trying to digest all that you have said, but I'm sure Mr. Morgan, or the person giving the vote of thanks, will highlight some of what you have mentioned in your speech. And as usual, I truly enjoy you because I've met you before and I've truly enjoyed your speech.
Thank you
Mr.
very much,
Morgan
Mrs.
will now
Samuels
give us the
Roden.
vote. Okay, Mr. Morgan will now give us the vote of thanks.
Certainly.
Chairman of the Board, Mr. Radcliffe Robertson, Principal, Mrs. Emily Lawrence Ricketts, Vice Principals, other members of staff of this noble institution and audience, a pleasant afternoon to you all. It gives me great pleasure to be presenting to you this vote of thanks. Firstly, I would like to thank God, who is the author of our lives, for the strength to be here on this occasion. I would like to thank the Master of Ceremony, Mrs. Veronica Samuels Roden, for able leading and guiding this ceremony. One songwriter said, and I quote, "With God at the center of it all," end quote. To Mr. Lamar Wallace, I would like to thank you for taking charge in leading us with this prayer and making that spiritual connection for this commencement service. Thirdly, I would like to express gratitude to Ms. Cheryl Gooden-Stennett for such an awesome welcome. I would also like to say thank you to our esteemed principal, Mrs. Emily Lawrence Ricketts, on her opening remarks and reminding us that when faced with fears, to choose love. To our chairman, Mr. Radcliffe Robertson, we salute you for your message. To our education officer, Mrs. Patricia Mombilela, we say thanks, and also to our guidance counselor, Mrs. Annette Sadler, and our Dean of Discipline, Mrs. Barbara Dandy, we say thank you. We thank Mrs. K. Nunes Porter for such a stellar dramatization of the poem, and to all the new teachers for such a lovely rendition of the Godfrey Stewart school song, reminding us that we stand firm, hearts together, dedicated to the welfare of each other. We thank Mr. Shamar Francis for such a spectacular introduction of our guest speaker. To our guest speaker, Mr. Pastor Jermaine Johnson, we thank you for gracing us with your presence and the profound words you imparted. Those words would have made a lasting impact on our lives. I would like to thank the Member of Parliament, Mr. George Wright, for his message. Last but not least, we would like to thank the assiduous team of musicians and our videographer, Mr. Whitehead, for such an amazing work. We thank you all, and may God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Morgan. In addition to the vote of thanks, I'd like to thank Mr. Neville Wilson, President of our PTA. And I just want to quickly reinforce a few things that Mr. Jermaine Johnson said. As educators, administrative staff, we'd want to always remember to think, and remember it's all about mindset. We want to take things one day at a time, have faith in God, indicate if we need help, and we are going to need some help during this pandemic. I also want to reinforce that we should nullify negative thoughts, and as we will want to reinforce that we need to know that we possess overcoming powers, because going forward, especially in the new norm, we are going to have some overcoming powers. At this time, I'd want to introduce a gentleman who has basically motivated a lot of us, Mr. Richard Spice. He has a song that we should want to put in our personal and professional lives. As we go through this pandemic, I want to thank you all for our online virtual commencement service, and hope and trust that as we go through this school year, that we remember what was told to us during this presentation. Enjoy the rest of your day. And do remember to have faith in God. And remember, it's all about a mindset.
Mrs. Roden, very quickly before you go and before I go, once again for having me. I have to rush on now. I just want your students and your staff and parents to know that they can always follow me on YouTube at Johnson Motivates. So if they want to find their motivation, it's youtube.com/Johnson Motivates. So those who are on YouTube, just type in Johnson Motivates and search for the channel and you can subscribe. You can also find me on Instagram and Facebook, Johnson Motivates. All the very best, Godfrey Stewart. God bless you and continue to do great things.
Thank you very much, Mr. Johnston. And I have already taken off your Instagram address.
Oh, thank you so much. All right.
You're most welcome, sir. Enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye,
You too,
everyone.
thanks.
And we look
Bye-bye.
forward to October 5th at the start of our online learning.
From 1963 and still we're going strong. Godfrey Stewart High, a true champion. For 50 years and now it's time for celebration. We are the champions of the world. Every boy and every girl. That is how we feel at Godfrey Stewart High. We will forever be the star, shining bright, that's who we are. We are kings and queens at Godfrey Stewart High. The road is never easy, we never quit the journey. It's only the best is good enough. With strong determination in the right direction, we can't afford to stop, we'll go on. We are the champions of the world, every boy and every girl. That is how we feel at Godfrey Stewart High. We will forever be the star, shining bright, that's who we are. We are kings and queens at Godfrey Stewart High. We thank all the teachers who help us shape our lives. Thank you for the love and all the care. With knowledge for the future, make a bright tomorrow. Nothing's gonna ever hold us down. Now hear this is the history. Watch me. 1963 when the journey began. Down in the parish of Westmoreland. Senior school was the name from day one. Sablama Junior High School that comes second. Change again to Sablama Comprehensive High School. No Godfrey Stewart. That's how we give some famous names. Big up Peter, touch the reggae music icon. Secretary Stevens, you're a musical don. Michael Nicholson, and the one Ryan. Tell the whole world that this is school you come from. Hey. Bartlett and Tabin, Bartlett politicians. Win them those well and never turn Tomlinson. 2005, the Costa Cup champion. 100 Andrews, a real veteran. We are the champions of the world. Every boy and every girl. That is how we feel at Godfrey Stewart High. We will forever be the star, shining bright, that's who we are. We are kings and queens at Godfrey Stewart High. The road is never easy, we never quit the journey. It's only the best is good enough. With strong determination in the right direction, we can't afford to stop, we'll go on. Whoa. We are the champions of the world. Every boy and every girl. That is From 1963 and still we're going strong. Godfrey Stewart High, a true champion. For 50 years and now it's time for celebration. We are the champions of the world. Every boy and every girl. That is how we feel at Godfrey Stewart High. We will forever be the star. Shining bright, that's who we are. We are kings and queens.